has to herself go in front of a notary and swear to it. And then like I would also have to sign that I'm receiving it, swear to it, then file it with the Register of Deeds. And it's a public document and, you know, obviously, and if that was fraudulent, one, it would be difficult. It's not as easy to do as it sounds, but also there are things you could do to fix that. And so I agree. I do think we see it all the time too. There are TV commercials and shows and on the radio, and I get emails all the time trying to sell you identity protection and trying to sell you this insurance. I don't know that I would think a lot of it is warranted. I think it's just to prey on people to get these, you know, just to make money.
Yeah. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you, Daniel.
Anything else? Well, in closing, I would just like to say how much I appreciate each and every one of you who are here. You care about your community, you care about your country. We're living in a time where it's really crazy. We used to argue, you know, back in the day, policy or Social Security, and all of these issues are still important, a lot of the same ones we've debated over time, but we're living in a time now where our very foundational principles are under attack. So even loving the flag is a questionable act. Some of our core principles upon which our nation was founded are under attack. And so just standing up and giving your friends and family and other people in the community courage to know we still believe in the United States, we still believe in God, country, faith, freedom, neighbors, you know, all of those things. It seems kind of pedestrian that we would need to make a stand in that regard, but we really do. So I appreciate all your effort and your hard work, and especially those who are serving in office. I know that it can be very hard, and the technology and communication of the day can also make you seem sometimes like you're alone when you're really not. If you get out in the community and you get to meetings like this, you know there are fellow travelers, fellow believers, and you represent the majority of this country. So thank you. Yes, sir.
This is different than what we're talking about now, but when we had that meeting at the community center about the libraries and all the trash they bring into the libraries.
Yes, sir.
I went, but I couldn't get in the doors. They were outside the doors and listening, so I just went on. Whatever happened there, does anybody know, did we accomplish anything or?
I think Myra has that on her agenda to talk about this issue. So in terms of, so there are multiple levels to this. So you have library policy, you have specific books. So for instance, one of the ladies that brought a book to the commission, she put a display board up there, and you know, it just, even the commissioners, oh wow. So we asked the sheriff to investigate that. He did not say it was obscenity or that it violated obscenity laws according to the Miller test, but he did spend a great deal of time talking about that he did believe it was inappropriate. So I think this is going to be a long, ongoing conversation about books in the library. So, yes. Thank you, Myra.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You made that very real. Thank you for the way you expressed yourself and told us about the border and everything. It just made it so real.
Well, I'm so sorry that I'm like heartbroken, Mama. I spent all this time on a slideshow and a video, but maybe next time, another day.
Could I have the executive committee come up here with me to run through a few points of business? And I guess we'll just sit behind here. We have a few more agendas if anyone would like to have a copy. That's where I wasn't making very many copies because they weren't being taken back there. But, moving on, first we're gonna have the reading of the minutes. And since we had our last regular meeting in January, we had the reorganization in March. And so, we have some minutes. Debbie Heaton, our new secretary, let me introduce, just a second. This is Debbie Heaton, this is your new executive committee. Let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of us, are here tonight. And I didn't plan on taking time for this, but let me just start at the end. This is Anthony Allen, he's our chair emeritus. Mayor Frank is our SEC committee woman. Debbie is our new secretary, and Lucas, her son, is our, Young Republicans chairman, and I'm Myra Mansfield, your chair. This is Tim Isbell, your vice chair, who's also on county commission, and, Amy Poteet is the president of the Federated Republican Women's Group in Anderson County, and Ricky Rose is our new treasurer. And, not here tonight are Keith Copeland, our vice treasurer, and Tim Hutchison, our SEC committeeman. So this is good turnout, thank you all for coming, I really appreciate all the elected officials who come to these meetings also. I was thinking that as we were sitting there, just, we are really fortunate to have you all come where people can talk to you and you can stay in touch with what's going on, we appreciate that. So,
The reorganization of the Anderson County, Tennessee GOP was held on Thursday, March 23rd, 2023, at the Church of God. The Vice Chair, Tim Isbell, led the meeting, and the meeting began at 7:30 p.m., and the results are as follows. Myra Mansfield, she won the chair position. It was, she ran against Amy Jones. It was, Myra got 74, and Amy Jones got 53 votes. Tim Isbell was elected vice chair by acclamation. Myself was elected secretary by acclamation. Ricky Rose was elected treasurer by acclamation. And, Keith Copeland was elected as vice treasurer with 73 votes, and he ran against Lee Jones and got 21 votes. The meeting adjourned at 8:45. Thank you.
thank you, Debbie. And now we'll have our new treasurer, give a treasurer report.
Thank you. This is for the month of March. We opened the month with, $22,491.11 in the bank with no deposits. We, had one disbursement, $40 to the Anderson County Election Commission for a CD that we purchased, leaving us an ending balance of $22,451.11. And they paid us no interest, which we're gonna talk to them about.
Thank you. We also, at the reorganization, if you were not here, we had the reports for the financial review for 2020, which was a big Trump year fundraising year. And we had, a review for the years 2021 and 22, that were read to everyone who was present. I've got on the agenda just a couple of FYI points. One, the reorganization did take place, and the swearing in ceremony was Monday, March 27th. All required paperwork has been filed with the state Republican Party and with the state of Tennessee. We completed the financial review. Both of those things were old business from our January meeting. And then under new business, the first item is that we are due to write a letter to the Election Commission of Anderson County. It's due mid-June, and that is our request to run a primary election in March. The primary next year is March, so don't forget to go vote for president. And we'll have some primary positions probably running. I know of one for sure, but we'll probably also run some school board positions. Do any executive committee members want to Fair. The date for that is July 17th to 22nd. The fee this year would be, it went up, it's $350 for the booth, plus 25 if we rent the table. And so, I want to ask you all what you'd like to do. If you want to go ahead and have the booth as we usually do, but it's not an election year. Okay. Okay, so we have a motion to go ahead and have our presence at the fair in a second. Any discussion?
Can we get a bigger booth? If we're cramped, usually when we're in that little corner there.
Well, I agree with maybe a bigger booth, but I think one of the purposes of having one in an off-election year is we need to start, as you heard the mayor speaking, we really need to start a grassroots unification for the Republican Party all across the state of Tennessee. You know, we did that grassroots about the Republican primary and it turned out very well. And I think by starting it again, I've always said Anderson County is a beacon county to, the state of Tennessee. And we can start that, we can focus on that, we can focus on the morality and just having common sense about some of the things that's going on in our nation, in our county today. But I think that's some of the things we can focus on.
Any other comments? Okay.
I'll do it bigger.
It would probably be double the price.
It is, you have to rent two, you can't rent, another one and a half, you have to, and I say that just because of, my political booth, you have to, it has to be one or two.
We do have a great location right on the corner as you come in the door. And they give us that location every year. So I wanted to bring this up now so we can go ahead and pay for our booth and have it reserved ahead of time. So, yeah.
Would you mind telling me if Steve and I paid for the book this year?
We mind. Someone pays for the booth this year.
All in favor, say aye.
Okay.
Just let us know when it's due, okay?
Oh, that's so nice. Okay, yeah. I guess that's sort of, do we want to try to get two and Marty pay for one? And that to be a second, would that be an expansion?
Yes.
Okay, so,
I make a motion to get the yellow booth.
okay, so we have a motion, a second motion on the table, that to accept the gift from the Publix, for the booth, and then to the party to pay for this another half, so to speak, expanded. And we have a second, so any discussion?
So I guess you would withdraw, either amend or withdraw your first motion. One is to,
We amended the first motion.
vote on the amendment. Right, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so we're amending the initial motion.
To include, in the initial motion, that the office are gonna pay for the first booth, and then the Anderson County Republican Party will be purchasing the second booth.
We put it on the second. After that. And then we go
The second half, that's correct.
Okay. All right, do we have a second to that?
Yeah.
Okay, any more discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye. All opposed, no? Motion passes.
Now you
Thank
vote.
you so much, that's awesome.
Now we have to vote on. The first one had to do with us buying the second booth.
Well, what if they just give the money to the party and then the party pays for it all together?
Yeah, it'd be a donation.
That way
to the
they're
party.
together booths, yeah.
Yeah, make those donations. But we could have a motion on the floor.
Yeah, we combined up.
Yeah, we amended the first one.
Okay.
Or Tim. Okay. Thank you for causing that confusion up here. Didn't mean to. Okay, wonderful. Then, the bylaws. The bylaws are required to be updated every 4 years. This is not one of those points, but we have the option to also update it at the second year, at the 2-year point between the 4 years. So we've had several issues that we've talked about a little bit, just that we thought we might want to update the bylaws or add to the bylaws. A few things, I don't even remember at the moment what those things were. They just, over the last years, through the election, especially last year, there were things that we felt restricted about or would be something good. For instance, here's an example. If we wanted to do a membership drive and we would like to start actually have card-carrying members of the Anderson County Republican Party and, ask people to donate $35 or whatever, that would be something we would want to put in the bylaws, so that continues to go forward every year. That's just an example. So, the reason I put it on here is because last time, we're on a time limit. The state requires us to do this no later than, to finish it by July 31st, and we will not have a meeting in July because we'll be at the fair. And it's complicated, but you have to present the bylaw changes at one meeting and then let it sit for 30 days and then actually vote on it the following meeting, which means it needs to go ahead and be done so that we can present it in May and vote on it in June in order to meet all these deadlines. So, I wanted to see if anyone wants to do that. Just open the floor for discussion about this, if we want to make changes to the bylaws, and if so, does the executive committee want to all participate in that, or do we want to have a subcommittee of people that review that? What do you all think? And the executive committee has any comments?
I really am enthusiastic about this idea, and it's not just the 2 coffees I had a couple hours ago, it's talking, but this, a lot of people say, well, where was your red wave last time? Well, it's just coming this time. So, people are gonna be more than willing to step up and contribute because they know it's gonna get sorted out in the end, and we're gonna have people who are loud and opinionated about the Republican values in the primaries. So, I think people are gonna be ready to make a point this time and support those individuals. And I think if we had people on point within the system here who were vetted and certified and official, that they could bring a fund to y'all for, to be counted, I think we'd be prepared ahead of time for that, because I know it's gonna happen anyway.
Okay, any other comments?
I'm happy to help work on, if there's only, you mentioned only a couple of things that you would want to do. If you wanna maybe meet a week prior to the meeting and just review it. Okay. The executive committee or whoever on the executive committee.
Okay, yeah, we can do that. It's what we did last time, we had a special called meeting, and of course, anybody can come to it. But we worked through our bylaws, and we did a lot of good work on those bylaws last time.
If you're gonna have a fee to be like a card carrying member of the county, can you have like a single plan and family plan?
Let's see. Okay, well then, just, a week before our next meeting would be, I think the next meeting,
I do have a question. So with the membership sort of, rules or regs on this thing, will that help the executive committee or the party itself with regards to validating the bona fide Republican so that, 2 years from now, you would have basically, if you're not a card carrying GOP, county member, you go through the vetting process, or if you are, you've already been vetted, so that you can vote. I'm just trying to make sure that not the membership fee is, or the membership, sort of benefits the party itself and just not, monetarily because you're collecting $35 a head or whatever that number is.
That's something we need to discuss, how that would all play out as far as candidates. I feel like you're saying that you're talking about candidates who
Well, I'm talking about
are not
both
members.
candidates as well as just voting to elect officers.
Oh, and the next
Yeah,
reorganization.
because of that process that you have to go through to validate sort of
So-
who can vote and who can't.
That's a good question, we have to ask, basically, you're suggesting we would restrict membership to people who are bona fide.
Well, I think that's sort of the bar, because if I come in, I pay for a membership, then, is it because I'm a bona fide Republican under the state party rules? Or am I just a card carrying Republican who wants to donate to the county, itself, but I can't vote, in the party election?
I think that is something we can maybe look at how to structure that. One thing I would say about that though, that people's bona fide status is changing every time we have another election year. So like next year, for instance, there are 2 primaries that count toward being bona fide. One is in March and one is August. So technically, for instance, our new friend Matthew, he voted last year in August in Anderson County, but next year if he votes March and August, he'll automatically be bona fide.
Right.
So if he were to buy membership the end of this year or whatever, he would change status a year later. His bona fide status would change. So that's something we'd have to work out,
Right, it's
think
a-
through,
yeah.
how we want to do that. Okay. So a special called meeting, is that a Thursday?
Yes.
May 11th, okay. Will that work for you all? As far as we know, that's what we'll go with, unless we have something changed, then we need a motion for that. I can call a special call meeting, okay. So that's what we'll do, and then we'll get the bylaw changes ready, and like I said, anybody else who wants to come, you're welcome to come. Last time we had a special call meeting, I believe we met in their room in their table set up, we just met in there, and maybe 20 people came total, including the executive committee. Okay, then we can move on to the next thing. The next point on the agenda is a candidate school. John Reagan has asked for us to consider having a candidate school through which candidates will go and train on how to run their campaigns and that kind of thing. We've had a couple of different people reach out wanting to teach in it that are local people. And what I wanted to do at this point was ask about having a steering committee for that to organize the candidate school. I need to do it quickly, I want to do it pretty soon so that we can move on with that. It's only 6 months, it's only approximately 6 months till people start pulling their petition, yes, to run for office. It's only about 6 months. So I want to move on forward with that, and I wanted to ask if any of the executive committee members, want to serve on that steering committee. Anthony? Anybody else in particular want to? Yes. Okay. have a few other names of people that, so that makes about 6 or 7. That's a good size committee. And, I can let you all know when we're gonna do that. So, the last thing I've got on the agenda is to talk about the library books, just briefly. I had put some papers up there for questions. Did anybody fill out a paper that you, have a question you want to ask? Because I think we can just probably take questions from the floor if you want. Or would you rather bring it up? Anthony, would you get that from her? Would you mind right here? Is there anybody else that has a question that you wrote down? Okay, I wanted to share something just real quick before we do that about the library books, because I live with Jack and he's a 33-year police officer, and you may know he's speaking out on this issue very strongly, and I feel strongly about it as well. Someone asked me if the Republican Party is even allowed to speak out on this, and I found in our bylaws, yes, I knew it was, but I went back over our bylaws, and there are several purposes for the party. I think there's 7 things listed in our bylaws, purposes for the party. And number 5 says promoting public awareness of the Republican position on public issues, ideals, and values, as well as fostering good citizenship in general. And the next point is increasing the effectiveness of our members in the cause of good government through active political participation. So I felt like, yes, we not only do we have permission to do that, we have to do that. We must speak out. And on these library books, the thing that I feel like, I've listened to the sheriff's side, I've listened to Jack's side, and I know where I'm coming from too, and I know, I've talked to a lot of people, but I'm seeing this tension between our local laws and the Supreme Court ruling called the Miller test. And when Jack and I were talking yesterday, it just hit me. I said, when was the Miller test decided? And he said 1973. Well, I've worked in the pro-life movement for 20 years, and I know when that started was 1973, Roe v. Wade. So what we have is the exact same Supreme Court that said abortion's legal has also said obscenity's legal. They've put this Miller test up there that is almost impossible to jump over, just like abortion was made legal throughout the country. This obscenity has basically been made legal throughout the country from 1973. But, thank God, Trump gave us a wonderful Supreme Court. And so, they have turned over Roe v. Wade, and they have said, we are under no obligation to uphold faulty rulings of the past. So I believe if this library issue comes before the Supreme Court, they will overturn the Miller test. And that way, all of us, the states, we can rely on our state laws like Jack feels so strongly about. That's just my perspective. I feel like that's coming. I've been looking at other counties. There's an organization called Moms for Liberty. There are probably several organizations that are trying to protect children that are coming out against these books all over the country. And so that's what the pro-life movement did when Roe v. Wade was passed. They came at it from a 3-pronged effort. 1, local pregnancy centers to help the girl, the one-on-one. The second thing, activism. They stood in front of Planned Parenthood and they held up signs, and in more recent days they figured out they need to be more sweet. So they started trying to help the girl that's going in to get abortion. Third thing was Right to Life organizations throughout the country, and each state has a right to life, and those organizations go into the state legislators and push for laws. And that's helped us in Tennessee get the most awesome laws against abortion restrictions, and then they had the trigger law ready to go. And we have good laws here against obscenity. We have great laws here against obscenity and against this stuff ending up in the hands of minors. So I think there's tension there though right now. And we need to continue to push it forward. We have to stay with it. We can't get tired. We can't say, oh, well, it's hopeless. Just like the pro-life movement took 49 years, I promise you this will not take 49 years. It might not take 49 months. Seriously, because we have the conditions are good in our country, all throughout the country, and the Supreme Court in place where it is. So I just wanted to share that, but I also wanted to let some other people share, just quickly, I don't want everybody to stay here too late, but also, I didn't feel like I could answer questions as much as some of the other people up here can answer questions. So here's a couple of questions. Is there a way to have a county referendum? One of the county commissioners speak to that?